Hello, and welcome to Rest Peacefully, where stories soothe the soul and guide you into peaceful sleep. I'm your host, Allie, and I'm so glad you've joined me tonight. In this special trio of bedtime tales, we'll follow the cunning, the bold, and the innocent as they face one creature in common, the ever-hungry wolf. First, we'll watch as a clever fox repeatedly outsmarts his greedy companion. Then, we'll witness the wolf's misguided bravery as he challenges the strength of man. And finally, we'll enter a cozy cottage where 7 little goats learn the cost of misplaced trust and the joy of a mother's rescue. These timeless tales are full of magic, caution, and heart, the perfect way to unwind and drift into a gentle sleep. If you enjoyed tonight's stories, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell so you never miss a dreamy new adventure. Now, snuggle in, take a deep breath, and let the stories begin. The Wolf and the Fox. The wolf had the fox with him, and whatsoever the wolf wished, that the fox was compelled to do, for he was the weaker, and he would gladly have been rid of his master. It chanced that once as they were going through the forest, the wolf said, "Red Fox, get me something to eat, or else I will eat thee thyself." Then the fox answered, "I know a farmyard where there are 2 young lambs. If thou art inclined, we will fetch one of them." That suited the wolf, and they went thither, and the fox stole the little lamb, took it to the wolf, and went away. The wolf devoured it, but was not satisfied with one. He wanted the other as well, and went to get it. As, however, he did it so awkwardly, the mother of the little lamb heard him, and began to cry out terribly, and to bleat, so that the farmer came running there. They found the wolf, and beat him so mercilessly that he went to the fox, limping and howling. "Thou hast misled me finely," said he. "I wanted to fetch the other lamb, and the country folks surprised me, and have beaten me to a jelly." The fox replied, "Why art thou such a glutton?" Next day they again went into the country, and the greedy wolf once more said, "Red Fox, get me something to eat, or I will eat thee thyself." Then answered the fox, "I know a farmhouse where the wife is baking pancakes tonight. We will get some of them for ourselves." They went there, and the fox slipped round the house, and peeped and sniffed about until he discovered where the dish was, and then drew down 6 pancakes and carried them to the wolf. "There is something for thee to eat," said he to him, and then went his way. The wolf swallowed down the pancakes in an instant, and said, "They make one want more," and went thither and tore the whole dish down, so that it broke in pieces. This made such a great noise that the woman came out, and when she saw the wolf, she called the people, who hurried there and beat him as long as their sticks would hold together, till with 2 lame legs, and howling loudly, he got back to the fox in the forest. "How abominably thou hast misled me," cried he. "The peasants caught me, and tanned my skin for me." But the fox replied, "Why art thou such a glutton?" On the 3rd day, when they were out together, and the wolf could only limp along painfully, he again said, "Red Fox, get me something to eat, or I will eat thee thyself." The fox answered, "I know a man who has been killing, and the salted meat is lying in a barrel in the cellar. We will get that." Said the wolf, "I will go when thou dost, that thou mayest help me if I am not able to get away." "I am willing," said the fox, and showed him the bypaths and ways by which at length they reached the cellar. There was meat in abundance, and the wolf attacked it instantly and thought, "There is plenty of time before I need to leave off." The fox liked it also, but looked about everywhere, and often ran to the hole by which they had come in, and tried if his body was still thin enough to slip through it. The wolf said, "Dear fox, tell me why thou art running here and there so much, and jumping in and out." "I must see that no one is coming," replied the crafty fellow. "Don't eat too much." "Then," said the wolf, "I shall not leave until the barrel is empty." In the meantime, the farmer, who had heard the noise of the fox's jumping, came into the cellar. When the fox saw him, he was out of the hole at one bound. The wolf wanted to follow him, but he had made himself so fat with eating that he could no longer get through, but stuck fast. Then came the farmer with a cudgel and struck him dead, but the fox bounded into the forest, glad to be rid of the old glutton. The wolf and the man. Once on a time the fox was talking to the wolf of the strength of man, how no animal could withstand him, and how all were obliged to employ cunning in order to preserve themselves from him. Then the wolf answered, "If I had but the chance of seeing a man for once, I would set on him notwithstanding." "I can help thee to do that," said the fox. "Come to me early tomorrow morning, and I will show thee one." The wolf presented himself betimes, and the fox took him out on the road by which the huntsman went daily. First came an old discharged soldier. "Is that a man?" inquired the wolf. "No," answered the fox. "That was one." Afterwards came a little boy who was going to school. "Is that a man?" "No, that is going to be one." At length came a hunter with his double-barreled gun at his back, and hanger by his side. Said the fox to the wolf, "Look, there comes a man. Thou must attack him, but I will take myself off to my hole." The wolf then rushed on the man. When the huntsman saw him, he said, "It is a pity that I have not loaded with a bullet," aimed, and fired his small shot in his face. The wolf pulled a very wry face, but did not let himself be frightened, and attacked him again, on which the huntsman gave him the second barrel. The wolf swallowed his pain and rushed on the huntsman, but he drew out his bright hanger and gave him a few cuts with it right and left, so that, bleeding everywhere, he ran howling back to the fox. "Well, brother wolf," said the fox, "how hast thou got on with man?" "Ah," replied the wolf, "I never imagined the strength of man to be what it is. First, he took a stick from his shoulder and blew into it, and then something flew into my face, which tickled me terribly. Then he breathed once more into the stick, and it flew into my nose, like lightning and hail. When I was quite close, he drew a white rib out of his side, and he beat me so with it that I was all but left lying dead. See what a braggart thou art," said the fox. "Thou throwest thy hatchet so far that thou canst not fetch it back again." The Wolf and the 7 Little Kids. There was once upon a time an old goat who had 7 little kids, and loved them with all the love of a mother for her children. One day, she wanted to go into the forest and fetch some food. So, she called all 7 to her and said, "Dear children, I have to go into the forest. Be on your guard against the wolf. If he come in, he will devour you all, skin, hair, and all. The wretch often disguises himself, but you will know him at once by his rough voice and his black feet." The kids said, "Dear mother, we will take good care of ourselves. You may go away without any anxiety." Then the old one bleated, and went on her way with an easy mind. It was not long before someone knocked at the house door and called, "Open the door, dear children. Your mother is here, and has brought something back with her for each of you." But the little kids knew that it was the wolf, by the rough voice. "We will not open the door," cried they. "Thou art not our mother. She has a soft, pleasant voice, but thy voice is rough. Thou art the wolf." Then the wolf went away to a shopkeeper, and bought himself a great lump of chalk, ate this, and made his voice soft with it. The he came back, knocked at the door of the house, and cried, "Open the door, dear children. Your mother is here, and has brought something back with her for each of you." But the wolf had laid his black paws against the window, and the children saw them and cried, "We will not open the door. Our mother has not black feet like thee. Thou art the wolf." Then the wolf ran to a baker and said, "I have hurt my feet. Rub some dough over them for me." And when the baker had rubbed his feet over, he ran to the miller and said, "Strew some white meal over my feet for me." The miller thought to himself, "The wolf wants to deceive someone," and refused. But the wolf said, "If thou wilt not do it, I will devour thee." Then the miller was afraid, and made his paws white for him. Truly men are like that. So now the wretch went for the 3rd time to the house door, knocked at it, and said, "Open the door for me, children. Your dear little mother has come home, and has brought every one of you something back from the forest with her." The little kids cried, "First, show us thy paws that we may know if thou art our dear little mother." Then he put his paws in through the window, and when the kids saw that they were white, they believed that all he said was true, and opened the door. But who should come in but the wolf? They were terrified and wanted to hide themselves. One sprang under the table, the second into the bed, the third into the stove, the fourth into the kitchen, the fifth into the cupboard, the sixth under the washing bowl, and the seventh into the clock case. But the wolf found them all, and used no great ceremony. One after the other, he swallowed them down his throat. The youngest, who was in the clock case, was the only one he did not find. When the wolf had satisfied his appetite, he took himself off, laid himself down under a tree in the green meadow outside, and began to sleep. Soon afterwards, the old goat came home again from the forest. Ah! What a sight she saw there! The house door stood wide open. The table, chairs, and benches were thrown down. The washing bowl lay broken to pieces, and the quilts and pillows were pulled off the bed. She sought her children, but they were nowhere to be found. She called them one after another by name, but no one answered. At last, when she came to the youngest, a soft voice cried, "Dear mother, I am in the clock case." She took the kid out, and it told her that the wolf had come and had eaten all the others. Then you may imagine how she wept over her poor children. At length, in her grief, she went out, and the youngest kid ran with her. When they came to the meadow, there lay the wolf by the tree, and snored so loud that the branches shook. She looked at him on every side, and saw that something was moving and struggling in his gorged belly. "Ah, heavens," said she, "is it possible that my poor children, whom he has swallowed down for his supper, can be still alive?" Then the kid had to run home and fetch scissors, and a needle and thread, and the goat cut open the monster's stomach, and hardly had she make one cut, than one little kid thrust its head out, and when she cut farther, all six sprang out one after another, and were all still alive, and had suffered no injury whatever. For in his greediness, the monster had swallowed them down whole. What a rejoicing there was! They embraced their dear mother, and jumped like a sailor at his wedding. The mother, however, said, "Now go and look for some big stones, and we will fill the wicked beast's stomach with them while he is still asleep." Then the 7 kids dragged the stones thither with all speed, and put as many of them into his stomach as they could get in. And the mother sewed him up again in the greatest haste, so that he was not aware of anything, and never once stirred. When the wolf at length had had his sleep out, he got on his legs, and as the stones in his stomach made him very thirsty, he wanted to go to a well to drink. But when he began to walk and move about, the stones in his stomach knocked against each other and rattled. Then cried he, "What rumbles and tumbles? Against my poor bones? I thought 'twas 6 kids, but it's naught but big stones." And when he got to the well, and stooped over the water, and was just about to drink, the heavy stones made him fall in, and there was no help, but he had to drown miserably. When the 7 kids saw that, they came running to the spot, and cried aloud, "The wolf is dead! The wolf is dead!" and danced for joy round about the well with their mother.